It's being called one of the most astonishing bear releases in DEC history. This black bear, rescued from a shed in the Adirondacks last September, was near death when staff members from the Adirondack Wildlife Refuge and Rehab Center arrived at the shed in Scroon.
We went down just to survey the situation and find out what was going on, and this bear actually walked into a have-a-heart trap and laid down. It was so sick.
She suffered from severe mange, starvation, worms, parasites, and was down to just 35 pounds.
She started to get better. Where she first would eat laying on the ground with her head in the bowl, she started sitting, pushing her front end up, and then she started pushing her back end up, and then she started to explore her environment as time went by.
That combination of food and medicine over several months gave rehabbers hope that the bear was finally on the mend. They named her Barnaby and monitored her regularly, and by winter she delivered a couple of surprises that nobody saw coming.
One day, early February, Chris Mattern was in the enclosure. She was asleep and he was doing something in there, and he heard this sound, and the sound was the cubs nursing on Mom.
Workers couldn't believe that a bear so close to death just months earlier could deliver 2 cubs.
Bears have this adaptive mechanism known as delayed implantation, where if they're bred during the summer, the eggs won't implant into the uterus until sometime in the fall, usually around November. And if they do, then the cubs will be born in winter. So in order for all of that to happen, the bear has to come up to a certain critical weight. 125. And they were able to bring the bear up to that certain critical weight, and she had cubs. And so that's what really makes this release unique, is we're releasing an adult bear with cubs that had been rehabbed. Not too many people have done that.
Just a few weeks ago, DEC and staff members from the Adirondack Wildlife Refuge and Rehab Center came together to get Barnaby and her young cubs back to their natural habitat. The big release was a long time coming and a big victory for the organization, which is familiar with nursing animals back to health.
We take in hundreds of animals who are injured and sick in the Adirondack region each year, and then we work on them. And our success rate's about 70%. We'll end up back out in the wild.
On the day of the release, staff members tranquilized Barnaby and processed her, putting on ear tags, a collar, taking a blood sample, and removing a tooth in order to figure out how old she is.
And she's coming out of the drugs slowly. We put hay bales in front of the trap so that she can just push the hay bales down and then leave the trap with her cubs. What we don't want to do is have her have a bad experience and just run out of the trap. We risk her abandoning the cubs at that point, and that's something that we're trying to avoid at all costs.
Barnaby eventually woke up several hours later, groggy but healthy. At around 2 in the morning, she pushed those hay bales aside and left with her 2 young cubs by her side. Workers are confident they'll be just fine, especially since there are more food sources this time of year.
We'll monitor her over time. We can get a lot of really great information from this bear, and it's a great opportunity overall.